think we have Invincible if we ever want to talk about it too.
It's still here on my list. Just I don't know if we'll ever make it.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know,
I hear you.
every week's full, even though we never play games here on episode 404 of We Were Gamers. Hello, JJ.
Hello.
Hello, Michael.
How's it going?
I'm leveling down today. I woke up and I just can't turn my neck.
Uh-oh.
Why? Why is it this way?
Age. It do be like that.
But it's not. Is it? I don't know.
I'll tell you.
I
I woke up this on, was it Friday? No. I think it was Saturday morning this past weekend. And my left ear, I noticed, was swollen. I was like, what?
Very specific.
Yeah.
And then I was like, then I paid more attention because, like, when you're thinking about your ear, like, no one ever thinks about your ear.
No one thinks about their ear, sure.
And then I was like, oh, it's not actually just the ear, but it's like the area like behind the ear and like below and to the like back of my jaw on the left side. And it's like that whole area is all swollen. It's not just that. And if you looked at when I looked at my face in the mirror and I was like looking closely, I'm like, oh, it is kind of swollen over there. I can see it. It's a little puffier. And then I was like, that's weird. And everything over there felt like it didn't, it felt swollen, obviously, now that I'm like thinking about it. Right. But I didn't do anything before. I just went to sleep and then I woke up and I was like, what is this now? And then I didn't do anything either, and then it went away in 2 days.
I didn't do anything, and I'm literally like, sitting up straight hurts. It's the age of worry about your posture. Make sure that when you're sitting down, you're pulling your shoulders back. Look up. I can't look up. Like lifting my chin, which is what you're supposed to do for your posture, hurts. What in the world? Okay. Last week we didn't even talk about video games. So this week we're going to start with it and then we'll do like normal We Were Gamers. We didn't have time for video games stuff at the end.
I like it.
Switch it up.
I'm shaking it up. So let's start with, I missed some Octopath discussion last week. I did my little reaction thing, so I don't actually have a ton of follow-up on that discussion, but I do want to ask you guys, I missed doing towers this week. Other than the little fun things like this Uni Cup that we're doing right now in Octopath Traveler Champions of the Continent, a gacha game by the makers of Octopath Traveler 1 and 2 on the Nintendo Switch and other platforms available today. No,
it's Square Enix. You just say Square Enix, man. Like, stop.
Yeah. Oh man. The Uni Cup's great. We're having a good time all day today going back and forth about little ideas. Oh, can I make it 3 turns if I do this? Can I make it 4 turns if I do that? This guy came out with a 2-turn. It's fun, right? It's a little challenge that's not very challenging. Takes all the pieces that most of us have and say, have fun with it.
And crucially is no work for the social media team because they just saved the assets from before and just reused it now.
Yeah,
they had to redo because they added the EX tier, which I don't think was a thing before, and Wisdom Orbs weren't a thing before, and whatever.
Yeah, but it's like very low work, right?
Sure.
And then all the hard work is on the back end of like verifying all the results, right?
Right. Yeah, but changing text is not the end of the world. I just want to say it's not no work, but it's fun. That stuff is fun. And at the same time as that are what do they call them? The opponents in the, what is that new thing called? Adversary log?
Adversary log.
That's what it's called. There we go. And the towers just not getting the change that Japan got, where they made it easier. And the farming and stuff like that have just never gone down. The soul thing has gotten worse over time, right?
Yeah.
I am starting to feel the thing that I felt very early on in Fire Emblem Gacha, and that has made me quit other games in the past, which is this game no longer respects my time at all.
Two things, I think. It wants engagement still, right? And the ways that it wants engagement haven't changed a lot. So you're feeling the tug of like, this is very boring now. I've been doing this same thing for many, many, many months, right?
I mean, 1,000% that's true, because the new, quote unquote, new things that are being added in the adversary log are just old fights made harder.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's not necessarily, you just shouldn't do that, but it's also like, ouch. It really is.
My counterpoint to that is the reason this happened I'm put on my game designer hat here and my like game producer hat, right?
Okay. Yeah.
The reason this happens is, they stopped creating new content for this game so they could make the big new content update that comes inside Celestia.
There it is.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
And so, taking that hat back off as the player, you're like, this game is in maintenance. Like, they're not really updating it a lot. They're adding new stuff, but it's like, low effort, easy to do, like, interesting in terms of the fight mechanics. And the fight mechanics, and I think we've talked about it on this podcast before, that the stuff we like in this game is the combat challenges, right? The like, the arena stuff where you really had to tune your team. You sort of had to, come in with like a long game plan. And it's just unfortunate that the way this game has trended, and it's kind of an unavoidable extension of power creep, is that like the long drawn out fight with taunts and healing and all that stuff can never work in this game long term, given the like constant upscaling of numbers, right?
Okay. Yeah, which is why Celestia changes a lot of that, right? I think.
And then even more recently in Japan, they got a new style of combat challenge where you can basically tune the fight.
Tune?
Yeah, so you have basically a difficulty, a set of hurdles to jump through over, basically, where you it's like the EX tier in the fights that we're going through now, where you have a hurdle to clear of, for the highest tier, you have to beat this fight with 4 5 stars and 4 4 stars.
There like the tower EX tiers, more like.
Yeah, a little bit, where that first tower, the 100 floor one, where you had to clear a floor using only swords or only 3 characters.
Right.
Yeah, so we start to get, much later we'll start to get them. I think the JP version has just gotten it recently. Fights that have clear criteria, and the harder the criteria, the better the rewards you get from it. But you can basically impose the challenge level that you want onto clearing the content.
Yeah, but specifically, you don't have to do it, right? So you can take your team of all-stars and go in and wreck house if you want. Or you can scale the challenge up to get rewards.
None of the stuff right now you have to do, although some hard stuff locks behind some pretty powerful things this time.
Andy, have you done the Chapter 8 boss yet?
No.
Some things you do have to do. You don't get to pick.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit. Not things story wise, but I've heard that's pretty difficult. Oh, okay.
So I think, from the perspective and talk about towers, right? Towers used to be a big deal for me every week. I felt like getting 1 through 4 took like a significant amount of time, right? Through the EX floors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I can sort of sleepwalk through EX 1 through 4.
I'm sure I can too.
So
it's a question of time.
But it's not a lot of time. Even.
I would but rather than doing those towers, you could be playing Balatro.
I couldn't be, because I'm doing this on my lunch break at work instead of at home, and I don't have a Steam Deck. So
well, there's
if
your first
this
mistake.
Was the case where I had access
2 out of
Balatro,
3 members
maybe.
of this podcast endorse the Steam Deck.
It's true.
Look,
Don't
if they
be,
put it,
don't be that fifth Doctor, JJ.
dang, wow, crumbling. I- if they put Balatro on my phone, it might be the end of me accomplishing useful things in the day.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, well, I could do this documentation for my newest release, but who really needs that?
Should I do my actual job, or could I play another hand?
Gold stake, man, gold stake. I gotta say,
I'm still not even there. I don't even want to do gold stake. I just want to finish orange.
Plasma deck is how I got through orange. Are we switching off Octopath before we get to Balatro?
I don't know what else. Do we want to? Is there anything else we want to talk about with Octopath? I think we're kind of.
I think we're probably good for now.
Yeah. We'll have some updates soon, I guess, but we're kind of in a holding pattern at this point for a while, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think Andy, you and I are on the skip pattern for the Sacred Blaze, right?
I'm not pulling on Detrina. It sounds very much like most of the people looking ahead to Callista say, if you really like her, go for it. If you kind of are weak on certain parts, go for it. If you're like Michael and you have an account that's doing top tier content, go for it. But other than that, maybe not. That's what my interpretation is so far. Michael, is that your?
Yeah, I mean, if it's going to cause you to miss out on one of the big characters that's coming up in the next 2 to 3 months, then I think common wisdom is to just go ahead and skip. That she's not that big of a game changer.
There's Live Alive coming. I don't know what your plans are.
Yeah, so I'll pull on that one. I'm planning on pulling for ODOO.
Yeah, I think ODOO is my plan on that one too. So I think because of that, I'm skipping Sacred Blaze, which is too bad because I was kind of hoping this would be my path in to get stuff like Canary and some of those other good Sacred Blaze units. But
I'm
guess
waiting
they're going to be gone forever.
No, they're not going to be gone forever because you're going to pull the Hunter.
Yeah,
it'll be a while, but
yeah. I think I'm skipping both, to be honest. Yeah.
I think you got to reassess where you are at whenever they decide to actually announce Live Alive, Live Alive, Live Alive, whatever.
Yeah. Well, if you miss Signa or Sazantos, you're kind of,
Yeah, it definitely seems like Signa is the one people are like, it does the job of Primrose EX and other people. So
who does that?
Signa.
Oh yeah. Well,
and then Sazantos is the new OP sword guy. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that's the plan going forward. We'll probably have more to talk about at the second anniversary at this point, unless they really release something major.
Yeah. Right? Well, there's the whole collab, and I don't know what to expect from that, but the collab itself might be good.
Maybe they should just make hunts from collabs permanent.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly would be
BD one.
Yeah.
Certainly would be more interesting if that BD hunt rotated out to the near hunt and then rotated out to other hunts, right? That would be more interesting than just.
Yeah. I'm almost out of use for hunts anyway, though. So,
funny, I'm the one who didn't do all those hunt feats, and I have now started going back and am doing them. So,
that seems like a good use of that. Now that you don't need the easy hunt, it gives you some reason to play them every day.
Well, now that you can 1A through the hunt anyway, you just hit attack all and it kills everything.
Oh man. For kids that don't know, we explained references last week. We'll do it again this week. 1A is a StarCrafter.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that. That's so true though. That's like a mad boomer reference by me.
It's a super boomer reference, buddy. That comes from a game from the 90s.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And they don't know what a Zerg rush is either, too. Man,
yeah. 1A to victory is is 1A to victory more StarCraft 1, or did that really become a thing when you had Marines? No, Marines in StarCraft 1 were still 1A to victory, right?
The whole thing was that Zerg was the joke. You just face roll, you just 1A the whole across the map.
Yeah.
But Marines did it too, for sure.
Marines with Stim was 1A to victory. So you would select your units, select them to the number 1, and then A was attack. And you could use attack to move, so you just A all the way across the map, and everything got mowed down and everything died.
Press 1, select all your Marines. Press A, click on the other side of the map, and then your opponent dies. It's sort of the joke.
What's their new game called? Stormgate?
You're talking about
all-
that studio that
the
like was
studio
making
formed.
the thing?
Yeah, the ex-Blizzard people that made Starcraft all left, and I think they're making a Command and Conquer like called Stormgate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't remember the name.
So I remember reading about them recently. They're close to release. They think their game's going to be free to play, but they're doing like a Kickstarter to raise money to finish the game. And if you do the Kickstarter, you get like tiers of cosmetic stuff in the game or something like that, I guess.
Yeah, Frost Giant Studios. Stormgate is the name of the game. This is an RTS looking kind of game here for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Free to play.
Yeah. Beta soon, I think, if not already.
Sounds like it's going to show up at the PC Gaming Show on June 9th.
I was going to say that's coming up.
That was off the top of my head. And that'll be like 2 days after this podcast comes out.
They're revealing some kind of new faction or something.
Yeah. There you go. It looks interesting. I mean, RTS is a dead genre currently, right?
Sure is. There's some kind of 3v3 mode.
Okay.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know. I'm reading the Steam page now. I don't know.
That could be cool. I'm on the Kickstarter.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Stormgate. Free advertising for your game for anybody that's dry on an RTS. Keep an eye out. Oh man, JJ, I don't know how to get you over the hump, man.
Mm-hmm.
Balatro, it really feels like understand.
I have been so close multiple times. It is just I'm doing this late at night and I make a mental error, or I'm playing and I didn't play optimally enough early on so that my scaling isn't quite high enough to get me over the barrier later. Or it's something like that, you know.
Scaling jokers are key. Timing out when your jokers are going to expire, also key.
Yeah, I've gotten bit by that bad.
Don't use too many vouchers, but use good vouchers.
Okay, so well, hold on. Let's stop. What are the good vouchers then? Because there's
negative jokers is like the best voucher you can find.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. No. Whoa. You're talking about vouchers? You're talking about tags, bro. It's like
tags.
Yeah.
Okay.
Negative. You take a negative every single time, as long as you will have the money to afford the negative. So, like, if you
don't need money anymore. It's free with the update.
Sure, but like, if you're gonna if you're at $0 and you take that negative tag, you're still gonna have $0 after you get that joker. So you need to be aware, right?
Yeah.
If it ruins your economy completely, it might not be worth it.
Economy is still really strong, but maybe starting off with non-economy deck and building an economy might be stronger.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
And if you don't get scaling jokers early, maybe just give up.
Yeah. So that's sort of where I have come to. And it's like, if I'm not by ante 3 or 4 and I have started a scaling joker and it's already like starting to roll, you know, if I'm at the place where ante 3 or 4, I'm searching for a scaling joker, then the scaling joker better just be like a bunch of polychrome or like a bunch of 3x molt or something, because you don't have time to mess around with that anymore. Like gaining 2 molt or 3 molt or 5 molt or whatever per hand is not even going to be enough anymore.
Well, especially with the if you're using a plasma deck, yeah.
Any deck, like, honestly, it works the same. I've been playing with the Anaglyph deck, I've been playing with the plasma, and I've been playing with the yellow deck, like, which is the one where you start with just a bunch of extra money at the beginning.
Extra money, yeah.
And with all of them, if you're by that point at the orange stake, which is where I'm at now, if you don't have a scaling plan at that point, a permanent scaling plan, which is the other thing. It's like, oh, I have a scaling joker, but it's time limited or whatever.
Yeah.
Or if you're like, one of the problems I've had is like, I have like one source of good molt and it's the banana. And you're like, even if it's not time limited, if this banana expires on round 16 and I don't have the plus 15 molt anymore, and it's like, oh, well, you can get the upgraded banana the next round, unless you have $80 to fish for that banana, you might be screwed.
The problem with the upgrade banana is that it's an X3. It's not a molt. So if you have multiple jokers that are scaling off your plus 15, then you're going to be in trouble, even if you get the other banana.
Right. But usually the 3X will be worth losing the plus 15, and depending on what else the other stuff you're doing. But yeah, you're right. Totally. If the plus 15 was your only source of plus molt, like you might just be up the creek. Right.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely come to the point where like I have started giving up runs even when I was still okay. And I'm just like, all right, this is not going to make it. I know there's no hope here. It's like I have turned down the dead end cul-de-sac here.
Yeah.
It's just waiting until you hit the wall.
I've also started restarting runs if I don't see good tags at the front. Like,
that's too aggressive. I'm still playing most of the runs where the tags are like whatever in the first
tell you,
two
buddy,
times.
With gold, sometimes you even start playing a few hands and you stop because you get rental jokers and you're like, I can't build an economy off this rental joker, and it's the only joker I can use, and it's drowning me.
Yeah, so I think with rental, I think that's the right move because you will get drowned by the upkeep cost effectively, right?
Yep.
I think you can survive that on orange. And I have been very close to winning multiple times. I got to the boss on ante 8 and lost just because the cards. It was like I needed to manifest a 2-pair and it would just constantly manifest straights. And I'm just like, bro, you couldn't just give me a pair here in these? You just couldn't do it? And it was like, no, I can't. This is the last hand. F you. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I lose. And so then I did. Yep. And it was, playing a pair versus playing the 2-pair where I had all the scaling from it, right? It was over. So, and I've lost close multiple times, other times too. So I have the strategy. I know what I need to do. The problem is the execution. And also the problem is sometimes I play these late at night after I've had a beer or, I'm relaxing and maybe not as mentally focused as I necessarily need to be.
Yeah.
Part of the fun.
1000%. Oh man. Yeah. I Gold Stake, if I can pull it off at some point, it just seems like it's a matter of hours of just putting in hours until the run cards come up and you don't make mistakes.
Yeah, right? I have seen people on the internet and stuff talking about gold and basically being like, this isn't worth it. I've seen that sentiment a lot, even with the changes. They say the changes make it a lot better now, which is like, oh boy, how bad was it before? It's a lot better.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I'm just not going to bother. I'm not.
A lot of advice is to pick a strategy, try to force the run. If it doesn't force into the strategy, just quit and start over.
Yeah, fish for seeds, right? That's what that sounds like.
It's what it sounds like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is a bit unfortunate because it means that at a certain point the game just becomes work, and I'm not into that.
So here is what, if you're getting burnt out on Balatro, have you tried the challenges, Andy?
I have not.
You need to go try one of those challenges.
Okay.
They are very fun. I've only done a couple of them. I've only done 2. But there's a whole bunch of them, and they are just completely something else. It's something completely different within the bounds of playing Balatro. So you should check those out.
Are they imminently all winnable, or do they become impossible like Gold Stake?
I mean, I don't have that answer because I've only played the 2. So, but they are very interesting, very different, unique styles of things you will never encounter playing normally.
Got it.
Fun puzzles.
Has Eiyuden thrown something at you that you would not encounter normally? Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. What is it?
No, yeah, you got it. Good job.
Did I get it? I got it right?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. That's Rabbit and Bear Studios.
Yes, I figured this was you were going to attempt the Trails thing where you just like.
No, I reserved that for Trails because Michael's coming up with a new Trails game coming soon.
I mean, there is a new Trails game coming soon. So
there's always a new Trails game coming soon.
They come out about once a year, it feels, right? So
Trails in the earth, deal iron in the sky.
No, we're talking about Eiyuden.
Yeah. So I don't think they have. I don't think it's something that would have been out of left field, but I finally have pushed through and started to get back on the, like, after doing a bunch of side content, after doing a bunch of like recruitment and other stuff, I've sort of pushed forward enough into the main plot that I'm like kind of back into it. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is like good. I like this part actually again. And not that I wasn't liking the other stuff, but the other stuff is all very light and kind of like, unnecessary. I mean, it's in there as extra content effectively, right?
How many
Now,
of the heroes are actually necessary?
not as many as there are. I don't know. I bet that number is very low. I can tell you I have over 100 now. Maybe it's 100 or 101 I have.
Oh, wow. And how many of those did you get in the course of normal gameplay
Yeah, so
versus
I don't
like
have
having
that.
to hunt?
I don't have that answer for you because I have taken multiple breaks from the story to go hunt people.
Oh,
Okay.
Because there are a lot of people. I think the way the game works, that it would be possible to do this whenever you want, or that's the intent anyway.
okay.
Like they don't like disappear after certain points in the story, although maybe some of them do. Don't know. But it seems like you could, go back and you pretty easily unlock fast travel to various points in the world. Relatively early on, not like early, but you eventually get there. And I feel like, if the people are just hanging out in that town, you could just go back whenever, right? But I have like taken breaks at various points to go back and get people because they gate upgrades in your castle off of people recruited at certain points.
Well, you got to have bodies.
Yeah, or like you got to have the smith to open the smithy in your town.
Right.
Okay.
And then he
But
creates
is there-
these things for other people. Got it.
Is there only one smith?
As far as I can tell, the guy who opens the building where you upgrade your weapons, there's only that guy.
Okay, but do they tell you? So there's 100 of these people. Do they give you a
there's more than
good
100.
road? Okay, there's a roadmap for the 250 people.
There are multiple ways you can find out where people are and what to do to get them to join you.
Okay,
Okay.
without having to consult a guide.
Yes, without having to consult a guide. There is a not totally hidden, but not completely on the beaten path character that you can recruit, who you can just straight up go to and be like, here's a shadow outline portrait. Who are they and where are they?
Uh-huh.
And they will basically be like, this village, I sense something, like kind of a divining kind of thing, and then you'd be like, oh, they sense something about food, and then you show up in this town and they want you to cook a recipe or something like that, right? So the game has ways to help you get all this information if you need it. I think the thing that specifically for you, Andy, will sort of drive you up a wall or grind your patience against that is that the game kind of then, in order to get that stuff, it sort of expects you to put in the time and the work.
Yeah, I mean, we did Eiyuden Rising, all of us. I didn't mind side doing some of that stuff. I 100%ed that game.
Okay.
But it didn't feel punishing and it felt light. It was like I knew how to do it. I didn't need a guide. It was easy to figure it out, right?
So certainly here, it's not punishing to do any of this, but some of this stuff is like, why would I have ever figured this out if this person didn't tell me if they were there?
Yes, you're right about that starting to grind my gears.
But the fact that they built it in to be self-contained, to tip you how to do it, kind of helps mitigate some of that, right? You
Yeah.
don't have to go out and search for the answers somewhere else from a third party and then get all frustrated about how was I ever supposed to figure this out. The game provides you a way to do it.
The problem is the providing the way to do it is not necessarily on the beaten path. So you wouldn't necessarily know to get that person if you didn't have to do it. The
Okay.
thing I will say is that the town upgrade menus, right, as you're going through them and you're like, what do I need to build this building? It'll like show the outline of a person if you don't have them. Or it will show the outline of the person and their portrait if you do have them. And then a checkbox if you have them and have also recruited them, right? So like if you've met that character in a town and talked to them and they were like, I'm busy or whatever, right? You can be like, oh, I need to go recruit that person. And that'll trigger you to be like, oh, where were they? Go back to their town. Now you can recruit them, right? That kind of a thing.
Okay.
So unfortunately, this game also does want you to run around and talk to all the random NPCs because you don't know who might be a person that matters. You can, you can shortcut a bit of that being like, well, whose NPC model is different? But it does kind of want you to do some of that. And that is true to the nature of the Suikoden games where they also did that. So
yeah, I imagine a lot of this. Did you end up running into Schreier's problems that he was mentioning?
all of those were fixed by the time I played the game.
I see.
So no, but I know
you did mention
what
a
he's
big
talking
turn
about
though.
I don't know what specifically he's referred to. I haven't gotten to the end, so I can't say. But I feel there is now momentum in the plot where it didn't have any before this point, which is good.
Okay, cool, excellent. If we're talking games that are collectathons, I had a very interesting experience this past week picking up Pokemon Arceus with the kids again. Arceus. Which is one of the
my
things,
shoulders over here.
Yeah, it's one of those ones we put down and pick up and put down and pick up because the kids love the Pokemon and it's a tolerable modern release of that game. I do like the old ones still. The more modern ones, this one's probably the one I'm gonna enjoy playing the most. But sometimes I just sort of let them go a little bit without reminding them what we're supposed to be doing. And it every time so far has devolved into let's just catch stuff and change the clothes on the character. And I think I have started to understand more about games than I ever have before watching kids play them. I don't remember if we didn't have those options, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the games when we were originally, I guess Pokemon was the first time we started to have those options where it was like, I can keep, how many of these can I catch? I could just keep catching them till I run out of space in boxes. Well, I'm going to keep going then or whatever, but Mario and all those other things were just like run to the right, get good.
Yeah.
Very interesting how games have started to retarget towards that mindset of like, well, a kid wants to do this, so that's why it's in the game versus this is the game we made, the kids will enjoy it or they won't. Was a little bit eye-opening to me. And it made me think back to like when we played Astro's Playroom and the most fun they had once we finished actually playing through the game was then going back to play the gacha machine and collecting things.
So Andy, is this the segue to you saying that you're excited for the new Astro's Playroom game coming?
Whoa, what?
Oh, see, this is one of those things where like, because we don't pay attention to news, like we wouldn't know.
There's a new Astro's Playroom?
It's not Astro's Playroom. It's Astro's something. I don't remember. But yeah, a new Astro game is coming.
When did they announce that? During their state of play or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay.
Astro's, I don't remember. I don't know. Yeah.
Astro's Playroom is getting a sequel.
Was it Astro Bot? Was that what that one was called?
Astro Bot?
Could be. I don't know.
Is it? Oh man, please tell me it's developed by the same team. Yes, it's developed by the same team. I looked it up. Team Asobi. Yeah. That's the same team.
Japan studio, the ones that made it, was shut down, but they took a lot of the people that made that game and put them somewhere else,
in
and they're
Team
now making
Asobi?
this. Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was the same team.
It
is. It
is.
was internal part of Japan studio.
Yeah.
That made Astrobot.
Yep.
Much 3D platformer, blah, 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 blah. I'm reading this really fast. Okay, so, good. It does not support PSVR, but it will do all the stuff that I have been wondering why they don't do more of this type of thing, where it's like, do stuff with the DualSense first party and make it fun and for like light for adults and do enough for kids and all that sort of stuff.
I mean, the depressing answer to why that is, Andrew, is because every game is $500 million, and it's the same reason why Sony has to sell all their games on PC now.
Yeah.
In order to make the money back, right? That's why.
Yeah.
And a game that only sells and only works on PS5, because if you release that Astro's Playroom on PC, like it's not going to work, right?
No,
like
it won't work.
it uses the
Unless
specifics of the triggers, it uses all the buttons, and like
unless there was some sort of plug-in that Sony developed to actually make the controller.
So there is a driver for dual. What is they called? What's that?
DualSense?
DualSense, is that what the PS5 is
DualSense is the PS5 controller, yeah.
So there is a driver for that you can use on Steam, but it's not the same as using it on the console, obviously.
Right.
And so, unless they're going to put work into that so that the PC people can have the same experience, the game won't work the way it should. And what's the benefit there? So it's just the prices, the costs of developing big AAA games like that just mean that you can't do it. Unless you keep it small, you make it a 3D platformer, you make it like, a cutesy small little thing, and then, develop it as the pack-in game, right? Which is what Astro was.
Astro was the pack-in, yeah.
And everyone loved that game. I think it was widely
it
loved,
is,
right?
I hands down, it is good and is not debatable.
So I think people were like pretty excited when they heard that it was getting a sequel. So
I am very excited hearing that.
The trailer has a bunch of like, I've only seen video of the first one, right? I don't have a PS5, but it seemed to be like they were like going through the eras of the PlayStation.
Yeah, that's what they did in the first one. Yeah.
It seems like this one is characters. So there were like pictures of Astro dressed up as
Sockboy?
Kratos and dressed up as Bloodborne guy and dressed up as
Sockboy?
a bunch of other
It's
other
supposed to be
characters.
it's supposed to be like 150 different characters.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like a celebration of the characters and the
characters of
mascots and
Sony.
stuff of Sony.
Oh man, I'm so into this.
Also, no microtransactions, Andy.
Oh my god, they're just
They're reeling you in.
This is
Michael,
a game that will
Michael,
sell
don't
5.
give it to him too hard. He can't take it anymore.
It will
His neck
sell
is hurting,
5 copies, and they'll all be me.
I think it's going to sell quite a bit more than 5 copies based on how many people like that first one. But I agree with you. It's not, the 3D platformers.
It's not going to light the world on fire, but it's going to be the best game they release whenever they release it.
Yeah. Did they post? Did they post a release date?
Please tell me it's not 3 years from now.
I don't know.
ETA September 2024. 1,000. Okay, great. I had put down Astrobot to talk about in a few weeks, or Astro's Playroom, not Astrobot. Astro's Play, because I actually was like trying to find something to give me a break from Balatro and not starting Eiyuden yet. And it was like, well, Astro's Playroom has a bunch of stuff we never did that the kids will have no patience for, like finishing the whole game in a speed run of 7 minutes.
Yeah, there's apparently some pretty BS speedruns and stuff that you can do in that game that people have gotten way into.
There's a bunch of hidden achievements, like I found one by just punching a sign in one of the rooms. One of the rooms gives you a bow and arrow, and there's literally nothing to do with it. So I ran around shooting stuff, and then eventually shot one of the other Astros in the room, and he started following me. And I was like, well, what if I shoot all the Astros in this room? And then all of a sudden I got an achievement for 30 Astros following me. You know what I mean? So like, there's a lot of that stuff that is fun to tool around with as an adult and just be like, what else can I see the developers doing behind the scenes that the kids aren't going to catch? They love the gacha machine. They loved going through the levels. They like running around and using the controller and hearing the controller make noise and all that. And it's a great game for that on like 1 or 2 playthroughs. But it's actually a decent enough game for keeping around. So now I can cross that off the list for weeks from now. So I'll probably end up 100%ing that game, actually, is what I was going to say. Because I think the only hard achievement that really is left for me to do is to speed run the game. Cool. And it's really cool to walk around a digital museum, Sony museum, so I don't have to have it in my house.
There you go.
They've got all the PlayStations there, including the hard to find ones. And a bunch of things I would never buy, like the PlayStation Move gun attachment.
Speaking of things that only sold 5.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. How many, speaking of selling 5, how many chili bowls, Michael, did you buy this weekend? We're transitioning out of games now. So if you were here for games, you can come back in 20 minutes.
You can keep listening because we need that engagement. Comment on our video about how much you love it that we're transitioning out of games.
If I were to ask you, Andy, where the largest single day chili festival in America was, where would you guess?
People might say the Midwest, but I'm a smart person, so I would say somewhere populated. So that would leave us with New York, Texas, or California.
Pretty good
Texas.
narrowing down. Okay.
Specifically Austin, Texas.
Yeah, Texas. One of those big Texas towns would have been my guess too. Yeah,
that probably would have been my guess, but the actual answer is Tustin, California.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
I love chili, and I make it multiple times, almost multiple times per month, probably.
Well, I was around a bunch of people this weekend who also love them some chili. This was the 40th anniversary of the annual Tustin Street Fair and Chili Cook-Off.
I did not know it was the largest in the state, and I saw the ads for it and wanted to do it, but we were at a soccer tournament this weekend. So,
Bro, Michael just said largest in the nation, apparently.
Nation.
So I think the qualifier there is that it's the largest single day.
Single day by volume, by attendance, by
attendance, I think.
Okay.
And
interesting.
So what it is, I think, contributes to that. So and is part of the reason why this is the first year after many years of living nearby that we've actually gone. It's not, when you hear chili cook-off, you think of like a barbecue competition. At least we did, where you go, the professionals show up and go for 3 days, and you spend 2 days staying up all night making your meats and your chilies for the judges on the last day. And this isn't anything like that. There are a bunch of entrants. I think there were on the ballot, there were 31 competitors, but the everyone who's there, when they buy tickets, can get a ballot and you vote for your favorites. You pick your top 3 of the ones that you tasted. And then there's also a panel of judges who votes on like a judge's favorite. And there are different categories, I think. So like best restaurant, I think there's a best amateur category.
So these people have to have like infinite chili.
Yeah, I think there's an entry rule for how much you have to make.
That's crazy.
Oh my god, they're gonna go broke, dude. That chili is expensive.
Yeah, chili has been more and more expensive to make lately. I mean, I've stopped making meat chili every single time because like oftentimes the ground beef or turkey is not enough on sale, and cans of beans are roughly the same price that they've been for a while. But
yeah.
But I need that ground beef and that bacon in mind, though, Andy.
Do you have to have it?
I do.
Maybe
the answer from the cook-off is no, you don't.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe lentils are just as good.
I don't think we had one that was just lentils, but
no, not just lentils. You gotta have beans. Like I'm just saying, like lentils might be a nice substitute sometimes for meats in a chili.
I'm not saying I wouldn't eat a vegetarian chili. I would love it, and there are great ones. But when we're making chili, I'm craving some of that meats.
For sure.
Okay, Michael. What was the top 5? What were they doing?
Okay, so some of our favorites. One of them was the Elks Lodge, which was probably the most solid presentation of just a classic chili that we had,
like
of the ones
bowl o chili.
Yeah. So I should say that the serving sizes are a little like 2-ounce plastic cup. So think like a Jell-O shot cup.
Yeah, because they have to make for this many people. Like they will go
small
bankrupt. Small
serving size, but also like as the taster, you appreciate that you're not trying to eat a giant bowl of 30 different chili vendors.
Yeah, you'll get full after the third person or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally. Okay.
And you could tell the people who had done this for several years because they were the ones who showed up with like an 18 well muffin tray to put all of their different chili cups in as they ran around and grabbed them.
Oh my God.
How do you remember whose is whose then?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
Huh.
I would bring like tape and a little Sharpie if it were me, but
That's insane. Don't do that.
yeah. So yeah, the Elks Lodge was our favorite, I think, on the day, and it was just a really solid classic chili. Ground beef, beans, thick tomato sauce.
Thick tomato sauce, kidney beans you can see in there, big chunks of meat.
Yep. What
Bell
else?
peppers? No bell peppers.
No, not in that one. Just
No wonder you guys liked it.
Andy, I'm
Shots.
with you. Put some bell peppers in your chili. They're good.
Bell peppers and onions, big enough I can see them.
Oh,
Unless I'm
onions,
serving
yeah,
for
dude.
people who don't like them, I get it, but like I find it to be more essential flavoring.
What is a better vehicle for onions, chili or French onion soup?
Ooh, how much time do I have, JJ?
Yeah, I don't have enough time to make French onion soup. Although the other day,
Yes.
we inherited some onions and thought about cooking it, and then I ended up putting them on toast with mushrooms, and that was the end of that.
That's
There you
also
go.
very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was another high contender for you, Michael?
Another high contender was by the good people from Taco Mesa. Their new fast casual Taco Mesita was an entrant, and they did one that was let me get this right. It was
Taco
beef.
Mesa is a local chain up here, JJ. Not a large chain. They have like 3, I think.
Okay.
Theirs was beef. I think it was sirloin and pork shoulder and mole.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was-
Mole
no.
It
and
was
chili.
it was as good as you wanted it to be. You got
So-
that nice,
so
like,
interesting,
creamy
'cause-
chocolate.
when you went pork shoulder, I was like, oh, it's gonna be like a white chili kind of thing. Interesting. And then
No,
Yeah.
they went mole
Changed
with
it
it,
up.
and it was excellent.
If you do a fully rubbed down pork shoulder with Yucatan style, like achiote and everything, Andy, that stuff turns like almost reddish brown. So you definitely could have a non-white pork.
Okay, I believe
in
it.
a Mexican style. But then, I don't know what kind of style they're doing here. But you're totally right. Like a ground pork, you could make a white chili out of that without even
Yeah.
For sure.
With a lot of like green spicy chilies in there.
totally. Yeah.
Chiles. All right, you got 3 more to go. You got to give us a top 5, man.
Ooh, what else did we like?
Did you run across anyone that was making like a specific style that just didn't like hold up? Because like a chili that you put on a hot dog is a specific style, but in a competition like that, it may not hold up because it's like, well, it's just sort of plain compared to everything else.
Yeah, so there was one we ran into that was a really good chili, but it was too thin. It almost wound up more like a soup. And I think it would have been much higher on our list. Like the flavor was great, but it was
If
more
it was in,
watery
like, a
than I
bread
wanted
bowl.
chili to be. Maybe something to
Yeah.
like sop up some of that juice and just leave me with like the chunky chili that I want.
Yeah. So what was like the weirdest one?
So the weirdest one it had a huge line, so we didn't want to wait for it, but they had waffle irons out, and I'm not sure exactly what they were, if they were just like making straight waffles or if they were maybe cornbread waffles. But then they would put
Were you
the
allowed to
chili-
serve sides with it?
Yeah, a lot of people did toppings inside. So there was some that like some came with a couple of Fritos in them. There was one that we had that was really good from the Veterans Association that had shredded cheese and pickled red onions and chipotle sour cream.
All those are classic toppings, man. I don't know
yeah.
about
Yeah,
Chipotle sour cream, but like I
So
like sour cream.
toppings makes a little sense to me. Like, okay, well, like it's supposed to be served with raw onion on top because that's my flavor profile. But like, a full-on like side of waffle or something is questionable to me.
Well, so they were little, right? Like they were the size of, they had like, it was like a mini waffle maker. So they wound up being maybe the size of a standard piece of cornbread.
But this could be your answer, Andy, of like, this is a chili meant to be served on top of something, right? This is how you
Well, yeah,
get
but
the
what about
something
that
to put
poor
it on
guy
top of.
whose chili should have been in the bread bowl? Like,
I mean,
what do you do?
Don't
then?
come to the competition bringing your bread bowl chili if you're not going to give everyone a bread bowl, right? Like,
Yeah.
And okay.
It's a
all right.
double-edged sword though, because if the gimmick doesn't work, then and you
right,
run
like how
into
many
people
people
who
can
just
vote for you if the line is around the block?
yeah. Yeah, you run into that. But also, like, how many people are there thinking, well, it's a chili competition. How much of this is just sort of to hide the chili? Right?
Exactly.
That's true.
Toppings are
Yeah.
fine, but you don't want it to stray too far into gimmick because then you run the risk of the chili not being the thing that shines.
It's the grilled cheese ratio that we talked about. No more than
Yeah.
2 other things inside the grilled cheese.
Yeah. At what point does it stop becoming a grilled cheese?
Yeah, it's just a sandwich with cheese in it that's melted. It's a panini.
Very true.
Yeah. Very cool.
So, but the rest of it, it's a giant street fair. So going on, like the chili booths, they've closed 4 blocks, and then the side streets off of those 4 blocks for at least a block in each direction. In some cases, several blocks in each direction. And the chili booths are just dotted here and there throughout this much larger street fair.
So you got to kind of like walk around and stuff to go see all of them. They're not like on one row or something.
Yeah, so helpfully they've got maps posted everywhere, and all the booths have numbers posted up high where you can see them, and the ballot that they hand out when you get your tickets has the number for where the booths are. So you can get a pretty good sense of, oh, this, and it has them broken down by what street they're on. So you know,
I
okay,
kind of
I'm on this street, here's the number for the booth. I can tell from all the numbers that I can see which direction up the street that booth is going to be.
I'm pretty impressed that they held this on like a random weekend. You know, a lot of street fairs are on holiday weekends and stuff like that because to get that big of an attendance on just okay, well, it's the first first weekend of June or something. That's a little bit impressive to me.
I think it makes sense to do it right after Memorial Day weekend.
But also like chilly when it's just not quite hot out yet.
That's true. Yeah.
You got to be perfect timing. I don't know.
So we will definitely. We unfortunately we had other plans for the day, and so could not just spend the whole day there sampling all of the chilies. But we would have hung out. Actually, that's the last thing I should mention is the pricing structure. If you're there just to eat chili, so it's each tasting ticket is $1, and it gets you that little 2-ounce cup of chili. So, and one tasting cup is enough from each booth for 2 people to share. So do the math. You're eating a lot of chili for not a lot of money.
Yeah, and you don't even have to buy. You don't have to try all of them if you don't want to, right?
No, you buy as many tickets as you want. Like you just give them a number and they'll hand you that many tickets.
Does that is that fair to everybody? What if you don't try one of the chilies and then you vote and you get a ballot and you vote? You know,
I think the event is big enough that you get a will of the crowd sort of thing going on.
Yeah, I would think that if maybe if you're the first people in the door or whatever, and there's no information about any of the chili, yeah. But by the time the end of the day, you can see where the giant line is. You can tell which chili must be the bomb, right? And like people are flocking to which one over this one. And if you're coming, at 4 p.m. or whatever, yeah, maybe you're not trying all 31 chilies at that point, or how many did you say it was? 30 something?
There were 31 on the ballot. I think there were a few people who weren't on the ballot, which worked out because they also had QR codes posted at each of the chili booths, and you could vote digitally.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Okay. I wouldn't put too much weight on if I lost that competition. I think it's more advertising than anything based on that setup.
Yeah, no, and I think it's
totally.
just meant to be a lot of fun, right? It's a big community event, and They
Yeah.
give out some prizes to some people who made some good chili, and everybody has a good time.
I like that. Very cool. I'm going to give you guys some names and some movies here for a second. Are you ready?
Okay.
Martin Brest. Does that ring a name for anybody? No? Okay.
Not immediately.
Meet Joe Black.
Okay. Yep.
Scent of a Woman.
Mm-hmm.
Midnight Run.
Not that one, but those
No.
other two
Okay.
for sure.
All right. Tony Scott.
Yeah.
Top Gun.
Mm-hmm.
Days of Thunder.
Classics.
Aside. Enemy of the State.
All classics.
Okay, we'll stop with that one. You guys know that. John Landis.
Yeah. That's
John
the name I
Landis
know.
would be
Mhm.
Three Amigos. Coming to America.
Blues Brothers was John
Blues
Landis.
Brothers. Yep.
Was it
Animal
the first
House.
one, huh?
Trading Places was too. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Animal House. Yeah. Do you guys know what those guys have in common?
No.
Male directors.
Okay, I mean you could name something they have in common, I'm sure, but
I got
do
it.
you know what I'm trying to get?
Crack
you
the
to
code,
say that
fam.
they have in common.
No.
Those are the directors of Beverly Hills Cop 1, 2, and 3.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So who's directing the new one?
Mark Molloy.
Some guy is what I just heard you say. Some guy.
Who had all that I know that he has made is Apple commercials. Crucially, the producers of Beverly Hills Cop 4 are Eddie Murphy and Jerry Bruckheimer, aka the actual directors of the film.
The people you want.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jerry Bruckheimer.
We needed someone else to direct it while we directed it.
But I mean, you got to get new directors in somewhere. This seems like, to be clear, the movie. What is the movie actually called, Andy? It's not Beverly Hills Cop.
Axel F.
Yeah.
Not Beverly Hills Cop 4 because it is not being distributed by Paramount Pictures. It is being distributed by Netflix. I am somewhat excited about Beverly Hills Cop Axel F, so I went back and I watched all 3 of those films.
You did.
And I did. I absolutely watched all 3 of those movies in the
How
last
does Well, so first you got to start with the fact that that's Eddie Murphy in his prime.
It's the first 2 are in his prime.
Yeah, I don't know about that last one.
Is a little ways later.
The first 2 are in his prime.
Yeah. That first movie is maybe that's the Eddie Murphy movie for me.
Ooh, 48 Hours might be the Eddie Murphy movie.
For me, it's Trading Places.
Trading Places is also really high contender.
Also really good.
Coming to America?
No, not Coming to America.
Not
for me. I would accept Trading Places. I would accept Trading Places.
But Dan Aykroyd is a big part of Trading Places.
It's true, but they need each other. Like that movie doesn't go without both of them.
Yeah, and that's another part with 48 Hours needs Nick Nolte.
Mm-hmm.
Beverly Hills Cop only needs Eddie Murphy. That's the thing.
Yeah. Judge Reinhold also helps quite a bit. Not as much as probably those other people do the other films. Yeah, I watched all 3 of these in preparation for Axel F.
How do they hold up though?
1 and 2 hold up well, and in fact, I would say that the Rotten Tomatoes for 2 is completely unfair.
What's it sitting at?
It's like 46%.
Whoa, that's low.
That feels
it's way too low for a Tony Scott movie that has good action balanced with an interesting plot compared to the third one, which was like, I don't know, I'm John Landis. How do I make an action movie that's not funny but is funny? 3 is atrocious. I don't understand how that came out of John Landis. But again, it was 1994 Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, I think that's part
1984.
Of sure. Yeah.
Not 1984 Eddie Murphy.
1994 Eddie Murphy was ready to rest on his laurels a bit, for sure.
Yeah, it was just not not of the same tone or anything else. But yeah, for 1 and 2, pretty good actually. And Jerry Bruckheimer produced those also, so I have high hopes for Axel F. What's interesting about the name of the fourth movie, now that I've rewatched the first two, is that it could be a reference to multiple things, right? The song, the song,
The banger.
Yeah.
song. Oh, dude, the third one went and ruined it and remixed the song.
Well, hold
Yeah.
on, Andy. How do you feel about the trailer for the fourth one that also remixes the song?
Oh, I don't watch trailers.
I think the trailer for the fourth one is kind of good, though. And not,
Okay, but
you shouldn't watch it. You won't like it. But I'm saying, Michael, did you see this
It
trailer?
is. I did
The
see
trailer is
for
good,
it.
and the remix is kind of fire.
let's say the remix was done in the 90s and it was just enough to add some more synth to it, but nothing else.
Knowing the quality of the rest of Beverly Hills Cop 3, I saw it once and haven't felt the need to go back. Yeah, okay.
Beverly Hills Cop 2 really does take the characters of the two, the actual cops, because he's not a cop and he's from Detroit. He's not from Beverly Hills. But takes Taggart and Rosewood and really like defines those characters a little bit more as like very funny sidekicks to him. Anyway, yeah, the song really gets ruined in the third one. The first two are pretty fun, you guys. So anyway, the alphabet killer, or not killer, alphabet robber is in the second one. And there's a funny line in there that says there is no crime F. And the fourth movie is named Axel F. But also the song is called Axel F. So it could be a reference to either thing. Or both things.
I feel most people would know the name the song is called Axel F. That song is famous enough that people just know Axel F is the name.
I heard
and
it.
may not even know that that's the name of the Axel is the name of the guy and his last name is Foley, which you may not even be aware of.
I really do hope they bring back Axel Fox from the third movie, though, just because the mascot, the new mascot at Wonder World or whatever it is. Yeah. Interesting to see who decided not to come back for the third movie and probably got it right versus got it wrong. Pretty good. Anyway,
Did they say is that a coming soon? When do we know when that's?
I don't know. When
out?
is that? When is that coming out? I wouldn't know.
I thought it was very soon.
The last I heard about it was 2022, and then you mentioned it a couple weeks ago that it might be coming soon-ish, and so I watched these movies because they popped up.
July 3rd. So it's your summer blockbuster.
Summer Netflix blockbuster.
Okay.
Man. Okay, well, good Lord. I don't know. How fast can we talk about the apocalypse?
I mean, pretty fast. Depends on what you want to know about it.
Well, I'm in the middle of watching Fallout, but I also watched Mortal Engines. So do you think Furiosa is better than Mortal Engines?
Since I don't know what Mortal Engines is, I'll say yes.
Oh, Mortal Engines was terrible.
Well, then
there you go.
I'm correct in having said yes, so that seems
Safe
good.
bet.
Hugo Weaving was in it, so I thought it was going to be good, but I would rather have watched Beverly Hills Cop again.
Well, Hugo Weaving sometimes takes paychecks,
That's true.
Unlike apparently George Miller. So
George Miller doesn't know what a paycheck is. That man takes money and spends it to amazing amounts and amazing results.
I think the only thing I can say, if you guys are going to watch Furiosa at some point, which I assume maybe one day you guys will get around to it, it'll come to streaming or whatever.
I assume I'm going to watch it very soon in the theater.
We're all on record of having said Fury Road like rules extremely hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
9 years
Absolutely.
ago. How many years ago? 9 years ago.
Doesn't matter when it was.
Fury Road.
I would rank Fury Road up as like in Terminator 2 levels of awesome action movie.
It's
like
1,000% as good,
it's
if not better, than Terminator 2.
Yeah. This is not that.
Oh no!
Uh-oh. Which Terminator is it? Set my expectations.
Terminator 3.
It's better than Terminator 3. I had more fun than Terminator 3.
Terminator 1.
I don't know where the Terminator 1. Terminator 1 is not as good as 2, right?
Right.
Terminator 1 is like a 80s. It's got story.
I've seen it.
I know.
Here's what I'll say. It's not trying to be that movie either, right? You can't do Fury Road twice. And
you shouldn't do Fury Road
and
twice.
they didn't.
None of the Mad Max movies are the same. I don't know if people assume that they are because they're all related, but like Mad Max 1 is
this
like
is the least related.
Okay, well, Love Story Gone Wrong is Mad Max 1,
right?
Mad Max 2 is kind of the closest to
do
Fury
mean
Road.
Road Warrior? Do you mean Road Warrior? Mad Max 2?
Warrior. It has been rebranded as Mad Max 2.
I know it has, but the movie is called Road Warrior.
Yeah.
And then Beyond the Thunderdome is just something else.
That has not, by the way, has not been rebranded Mad Max 3.
For some reason. Who could say why? Who could say why? Tina Turner, though. Come on.
Tina Turner and the Thunderdome and Bartertown.
And then Fury Road and this now Furiosa. Just like people who were paying attention and watched Fury Road realized that it's a movie about Furiosa. This movie doesn't even Mad Max is in one shot of this movie, and that's it. And this is a Furiosa movie, right? And it's called Furiosa, a Mad Max whatever
saga.
Right?
Sure, yeah.
So don't get confused who this is about. This is about her. This is her story. This is the story of her becoming who she is in Fury Road.
Yeah, I got that from the poster.
Yeah, and because of that, right, there is inherently lower stakes when you know the end result, right?
Sure. Yeah, we got to build some other characters up, probably.
And it is cool seeing that journey. It's fun. I had a really great time. And there is a lot of that trademark George Miller weird insanity, like wasteland stuff that makes no sense.
Yeah, throw it all in.
And it is all in there, man. You see like all the Bullet Farm people. You see Immortan Joe. You see all those crazy guys you've seen in the movie. You've seen some new people you never heard of before. They're all weird and it's crazy. And they're driving crazy motorcycles and vehicles and all kinds of stuff. And that's all I need.
That's all I need.
And it's good and it's fun, but it's not the level of unbelievable that Fury Road is. That's all I have to say about it.
Okay.
It's great. I had a great time.
Okay. It's not going to ruin my experience. That would have been my expectation, not to get another Fury Road.
Right. And so, as long as people are on that level, then you're good. Go check it out.
Okay. Mortal Engines is not that good. It's pretty terrible. Don't go watch it. And Fallout so far, pretty good.
I'm considering watching the 1970s Shogun that popped up on Paramount Plus.
I don't know much about it, but you should probably do it. Or just stop and read the book.
I'm considering that too, but I have so many other books. That's the problem.
Yeah. If people have different thoughts than JJ on Mad Max Fury Road, the saga. Furiosa, the Mad Max saga. Oh man, I did not intend to trails that one. I didn't intend to. That's shoot. I apologize, George Miller and Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth and
if any of you want to email us,
where is that, Michael?
They can send that to podcast@wewergamers.com. We will definitely take your email, George Miller.
Oh,
yeah. George Miller, please email us. Everyone else.
George, it'll be the easiest interview of your life. No one will ask you hard questions. just fawning.
You could also find us on social medias or check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@weweregamers.
Just a man in his V8.
Well, I witnessed it. That's all I can say.